I'd like to call the meeting to order, 7 o'clock. Start the pledge of allegiance. Okay, the next order of business is to approve the minutes from previous meeting. I have motion to approve them.
So moved.
And do I have a vote? 4-0. Okay, first up on the agenda for tonight is discussion about community center, and Cherie Wenzel is going to lead that. Cherie.
Hello. Is this on?
Doesn't sound like it's on.
Hello. I can speak loudly. I'm a loudmouth. Hello? Okay. The community center board was asked at the Junetown meeting by a community member for us to explore historic National Register historic eligibility, which we did. And I submitted to the select board the application and the decision that came back recently. This building was found not eligible to be on the register for a number of things, including the fact that we don't have the original siding, we have vinyl siding. Now we have the roof over the ramp. We have a kitchen and the bathroom. So those elements basically preclude us from being determined on the National Register. They did talk more about an historic district. It's not something the community center board will explore, but that's something for the board, for the select board to consider as a possibility. There's a number of homes, I guess, and buildings in the district that might be included in a district. So you have the letter, the denial letter. So we would ask that be entered formally into the record so that if there's any further inquiry, people know we went through the process.
Thank you.
The next is space and storage of furniture here. And Bob and I just had a side conversation about chairs. We know that you spend a lot of time sitting in these meetings and it's very important for you to be comfortable. And at the same time, we are concerned with how it looks, and you have a file cabinet here and you have the big screen, and we just want to minimize as much as possible the space that you need up on the stage. We had a benefit concert here yesterday for the food bank, and it was the Galler family, and they were performing, but they were also dancing. And so it limits, where people can move. We also use that space sometimes for craft fairs. We have vendors up there. We sometimes put tables and chairs up there for suppers. And so we're looking at aesthetics, the visual appeal. People rent the space and we want it to look nice as well as meeting your needs for comfort. So I think that's just, that you've already heard that from me. And maybe there's a solution that we can arrive at together that will meet your needs and also move in that direction for us. Tyler and I just talked about the AV box and addressed some of my concerns about between now and when that new box is installed. We have preschoolers here running around, And we don't want anything, they're not up on the stage, but if there are cords, if there are loose items, we have aging in place come here. People are using walkers and canes. So we just want to make sure that it's safe and there aren't trip hazards for people. Am I going too
Yeah.
fast? Okay.
She runs the community center.
Was there a question? No. That's okay. I would also like to find out from you if there are areas where you feel the community center board can improve on the communication we have with you. And if so, would like to hear about that, just so that we're sharing back and forth. One little example is the Knox box. We were about to, we had heard from Jason about the Knox box and about a situation that happened at the library, and that would be a really good thing for us to do. And so we were starting to move forward to purchase one. And then we found out from Dan, wait, I think select board is already looking at doing that for all the town buildings, which is great, but that's just a little example of where we just want to make sure, and I'm not going to come to every select board meeting, so that's another thing on me to find out everything that's going on, but maybe I can be more attentive to the minutes if there are things like that you're talking about. So there's that. Anything on that before I move on to MMA and alcohol? No. So we wanted to explore the possibility for a private rental to use this space and to serve beer or wine. And so Tyler asked me to follow up. He wasn't able to do it with MMA. So I spoke to Crystal Gilks. She's an underwriter with MMA in their risk management division. And so I have a copy of the law. I have a copy of the BYOB permit. I don't know if I sent all of this to you. You did. Okay. Then there's another article that talks about the pros and cons of using a town space with a private rental. And how do you decide to limit your exposure, your liability? One of which is don't allow liquor to be served, which is our current rule. And then another option is to have a specific written facilities use agreement that specifies the responsibility of the renter, requires them to have an indemnification or hold harmless agreement, and requires them to provide either commercial general liability insurance or an individual personal liability policy. And then if alcohol is to be served, requires that a caterer be hired and provide proof of liquor liability insurance. So that's in that document that I gave you. We don't feel strongly one way or the other, but we wanted you to make a decision as a board in terms of which direction to go. It's not like we have a lot of people knocking at the door and asking about this, but it might, on one side, it might encourage more people to rent the space. Belgrade Center for All Seasons has a policy. They have a rental agreement. They have certain charges. They require someone with TIPS certification. TIPS stands for now.
It's Belgrade what?
Belgrade Center for All Seasons. It's a rec.
They're big rec
hall. So they allow private parties to come and use the space and to serve alcohol. And they have on their website, they have the rental agreement, how many people are coming, and they require a tips trained, person. Shoot, I didn't bring the thing, but I don't remember what it
It's a
stands.
certification in the bartending industry that basically certifies you that you know the signs of overconsumption
Right,
and you know when to cut somebody off.
right. It's an online application. You fill it out, you send it in. Yeah.
Is there an expected increase in the use of the facility if there was alcohol allowed? And
I think to a small extent. So, does it, in terms of the amount of usage, additional usage that we would get here versus the liability that the town would be under? I don't want to make that decision, but,
it doesn't sound like you're advocating for it.
I'm not advocating it for us strongly. I want to preserve what we have, in this area, and, I don't know that there would be any issues. I don't know. I didn't explore with the Belgrade Selectmen, for instance, what issues they've had or have not had. Maybe it's been fine. But so there might be some benefit to at least talking with someone up here over there and see. But it's something we wanted to know about one way or the other. And, I guess would like you to consider it and make a decision and let us know.
Do MMAs be an increase in knowledge? So, indicate that.
No, they did not. No.
I mean, I think the way that I read the documentation is if we allow it, you basically write the policy in such a way where they take on the liability.
Mhm.
And then they have in that liability package that they have to buy, there's enough insurance there that if there is damage for whatever reason, the town is gonna get that money back and then some.
They have to provide the liability insurance. They have to sign an indemnification agreement.
Right. I mean, I'll just use when we booked our wedding this summer, we had wine and I had to pull a $2 million event insurance policy. And it wasn't expensive. It was like $108 for a $2 million
Uh-huh.
policy. But, I think if we went that direction, I think that's, kind of a similar standard that we have a pretty aggressive, you push the liability off on the people that want to rent the space. But I
Right.
think I'm personally in favor of it because I think it would allow more rentals of the space, and say people are having a small wedding and they want to have, champagne or beer or wine at their wedding.
Yeah.
It gives them that option. Or if they're having a rehearsal dinner, some of these events where it's acceptable to have alcohol
Mhm.
at the space, and it's gorgeous spot too,
Yeah.
with the beach and everything. So as long as we have strong liability protection.
I know there was an interest around the holidays of someone having a family gathering here and they wanted to serve wine. So that's another example of
I think
low
that-
key, it's not a riotous.
Right. I think there was another suggestion
party.
for like paint, you have a paint that you serve wine with,
Uh-huh.
like a guided paint session. It'd be great. For the community center as well.
Yeah.
So those are my cards on the table. I'm for it.
The alcohol, means
Yeah.
Yes. And only beer and wine. No hard liquor. I don't know about champagne. It's just
So
Wine.
the tips person would be
It's-
attending the event
yes,
and would be the party renting the space would be paying for that person's time?
yes.
Okay.
Now Belgrade, if you look on their website, they require the tips person and they also require the renter to pay someone from the town, someone from the rec department, I guess, I'm not sure, to be there.
In addition to a
In
caterer
addition to the tips trained person.
and a caterer, or could that
I
caterer?
think the
caterer
caterer, the
can-
tips, if the caterer's been through tips
Right.
training, they could serve both hats.
I think it would behoove us to talk to Belgrade.
I
and
think it
see
would.
how
Yeah.
And also Fayette, I think Starling Hall, I'm not sure. That's another possibility. I did leave a message with Lori Bolio at Starling Hall to find out about what they're doing.
The only one I would see concerned is people. Yeah, that'd be a fairly big expense. That might detract from it. But I think, yeah, having a larger event, definitely having that extra protection.
I
But
think the
if
protection-
Belgrade has on their, I'm sorry,
I'm sorry, I think the protection part, the liability insurance is required.
I'm talking about the
Yeah.
tips.
Okay,
train.
yep.
You know, maybe if it's, you know, 15 people, maybe, but if you're having more of that, definitely. Definitely, I would set whatever it costs. You know, anything that we up in that is, that should be the maximum policy. Minimum policy.
You can access it on the website very easily. Okay,
Thank you.
move on to mice
Or AV equipment,
or mice abatement
or AV equipment.
or AV. So we want AV next? I kind of covered it.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
we just need to get the,
I need a time frame though. If you can, let me know when you
So-
think that might be able to
With
be.
the AV equipment, is there something other than just cleaning up that corner? that-
Just cleaning it up and also anytime it's not gonna work, to let me know, if possible. We just had a situation where at the tree lighting, it wasn't working and we didn't know it wasn't working. So just, yeah, that's back to
Okay.
communication, but, and Tyler just tape that off and turned the new one around. Again, I was worried about kids, mostly the kids that are in here. Okay, so Mike has been going down pretty regularly, my husband, into the basement to bait the mice. And it's been a really bad fall for a lot of people with mice. And now it's at a point where they don't seem to be eating the bait. And he set traps up here and we're not catching them up here. Megan found one, but otherwise, it seems to have calmed down. But I would like to not have Mike responsible for that going forward indefinitely. I just, he bought the bait, nobody asked him to, and he doesn't want to be reimbursed for it, but I think long-term, be a good idea for somebody to
Pest control.
pest control.
Jason, don't we have a contract for the fire station? Not anymore?
Bob, you looked into it. It was pretty expensive.
I thought you were on pest control. Huh?
So it's,
A month.
it's pretty expensive. So I don't know what the answer is, but, and it's not something immediate. Mike is not itching to be relieved of that duty, but I am itching for him to be really good. I just don't like him going up and down those stairs and anyway.
Are you doing it, right? No, just spend it off of the states. Small cat. They're less rats, so.
Yeah, we were having rats and since the basement work was done, no rats, just
We do.
little, oh, good. Send them over to you.
I mean, I think it's something we could discuss in budget.
Yeah.
We can discuss it in the
I
budget.
think we need bond pest control.
Maybe, or somebody who's already shoveling or doing some other, is it Chris Tibbetts? What's his name? Yeah. ADA committee is moving on. You know about that. We have a meeting next week. Dan and I worked on the RFP. This is a question about new board members being appointed. What do I need to be doing to contact me? Contact you. Okay. I know used to be you had to go to the town office, you had to be sworn in, you had to sign, and that's not the case anymore, right?
You need to let me know so that I can put them on policy.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then I prepare the paperwork and they sign off on it.
So, let me know if you know.
Okay. I think I've done that in the past, but then we've had a couple new ones and I did her.
Went over and reviewed everything back in, I don't know, August. So if you've had new members since August. Okay, right. Yeah, just send, I'll need like a name and an email address.
What else? Trees on the shore. Bob and I've talked about that. It's a concern about, when we have these high winds, branches falling on people. And I know the plan is this winter, hopefully, to the willows, huh?
Someone might.
Free service. I'm not volunteering, Mike.
Us about, policy.
One tree?
How big was the tree? I just had two trees taken down for 1,200.
I mean, 1,200 versus 2,000.
Yeah, do we have, okay to take those down? To take it down?
Stay out. We had to stay
Okay.
out of stuff.
Mhm.
Yeah, it shows that there was
Oh.
yeah.
Two willow trees.
We just don't want anything falling on the new roof. We don't want anything falling on people that are at a craft fair, and we don't want anything
I'll
falling on
consider it
people in the
beyond.
water swimming.
Hey. Right?
Yeah.
Even just. Mess
Yeah.
anymore, so it just sit.
Would we have to replant trees?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
We did plant something down on the side. There is a pretty good close to it.
Right. Maybe.
Yeah, I was-
Yeah.
She said when you start seeing.
We've invited Tyler to come to our next board meeting to talk about the social media policy. We have a couple questions about that. When Mike was in the basement, he noticed the access door, that little door that's down there that has the grates on it, not this side, but this side was open. I don't know how it got open, but he closed it. And I'm using my new email, sherry@mountvernon.org. We would like to have, I don't know if there's something Remy you could help with, or maybe Scott Herrick, a calendar for the board, not the town's calendar, but a calendar for the board. So if there's private events, besides the regular town events, because the calendar was created by my predecessor, June Caldwell. She owns this calendar. And it's really difficult, for me to manage it and to add people,
Yeah,
like the guy that's plowing and Megan for cleaning. They want to know when there's events coming on. Is
right.
that something you could help with, or should I ask Scott?
Yeah, I have the skills to help you, but it should probably come from Scott.
Okay.
For that, yeah.
Because
would
I
say.
think, I mean, you probably can do it through that email, the
Right.
town email, and have that be the base, because that'll move.
Okay.
That'll be a permanent
Alright.
calendar.
Okay.
Yeah, I would touch base with Scott.
Okay.
She already has it.
Yes,
She
yes,
just
I
said she
have
had
that
it.
now. I just started using it. Scott got me set up, Mike helped me, and I'm starting to use it. Yeah. Sherry it's like you, Bob same thing, the rest, blah, blah, blah.
Really be community center app.
I would think. it
Yeah,
should.
Yeah.
I was also going to say something about that. It should be community center, fire department. That was the whole issue we ran into with when Tina left.
Yeah,
And it should be admin assistant. It should be based on your type. It's a quick fix. You wouldn't have to change anything.
Yeah, I agree with that. Fire so that now as people kind of go, information stays at.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's resource. So the department head position it should be hierarchy.
Chair or, yeah,
Yeah.
One would say.
community center chair.
It shouldn't be associated with the name.
Ah,
I think it should be by your.
By title.
It's all district.
Right.
No different than the treasurer.
Right.
So,
Right.
if they're,
Nope. The only ones that should be by name are I think else.
okay. So what do I do?
Nothing.
Nothing
Take
for
care
now.
of it.
They'll
We'll
take
take care of it.
Thank you.
I'll probably email you and just say that the login name will change from Sherry at Mount Vernon to Community Center at Mount Vernon.
Or, yeah.
Yeah.
Or CC chair. Well, that's
Seat
that's
chair would
three.
be A lot less.
Yeah, that's also 3 C's in a row. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
Community Center.
Okay,
He'll figure it out.
okay.
But
That was a lot. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next up is discussion about benefits, and the goal is to select the benefits that will be offered. Remy, do you want to give us a high-level overview of what we need to tell you?
So there are technically 3 options. There's Maine Municipal Health Trust, the Maine PERS, and the Mission Square. Do you want like an overview of what each is, or
No,
do you want?
I think in terms of the retirement plans.
Okay.
it's
So,
pretty straightforward.
yeah, so for the health trust, you just need to vote to join because like I said, the town already used to be a part of it. And then, for whatever reason, stepped down. So you don't have to go through the whole correct language big vote on it. So you just need to vote to rejoin. And then which health insurance plan specifically you're voting to join into.
Which mission.
No, the health insurance is yeah, you just have to pick which plan you want to offer. Like there's, I don't know, they're like
So,
Pemaquid, Katahdin,
Baxter.
yeah, which one of that? So you would just vote as to you want to join the trust and we want to accept the whichever name plan for the health insurance. And then for retirement, main PERS, you can vote that you want to start the process, which will then require a special town meeting,
Yeah,
specific
we agreed
language.
Not to do that.
Correct. Okay. So then to adopt Mission Square, right now you would just have to vote to adopt Mission Square, and then I can get the formal paperwork from them for signatures, but the only other thing you'd have to decide on in that motion would be to cover the $25 annual fee per person or not. I would recommend doing that. So it doesn't mean that every single person in town, it means it's only for people who end up opening an account with them. So if, let's say we have 20 employees, let's say only 2 open it, you'd only pay $25 per account. So 50 bucks if only 2 accepted. Does that make sense?
Yeah, as long
Okay.
as as long as we write it so that way they have to make contributions within that fiscal year.
What do you,
Is it a $25 setup fee or is it $25 annually?
it's an annual fee
Yeah,
of
so
$25.
They just have to make a minimum of $25 in contributions over the course of the year. So that way, if they're not making contributions, we're not going to pay the maintenance fee.
Correct. But if they're opting into it, they would be you'd automatically be contributing. I mean, for someone to contribute less than $25, you'd work less than 10 hours in an entire year.
I'm just saying that if they opt in and then they stop making contributions, we stop paying the maintenance fee.
Okay.
It's kind of what I'm getting at. Right. Right.
Yeah.
But if they stop making contributions, we're not going to pay to maintain the account.
So,
Are we training one person?
so, I haven't spoken with Mission Square about that. I think we get unlimited access to their rep, but if not, we would train one person. And then the same goes for the health trust. Our contact there said specifically she would come out once and train one person to how to offer the benefits when we have a new hire, et cetera. But she wouldn't come out every time we hire someone. So there would be somebody designated to onboard. Yes. So were there any other questions?
I don't know how we offer the health. That
I don't,
rate.
I agree. The rates are very high for the health, plan,
Yeah,
but that's the way it is.
I- No,
right.
that's-
So essentially,
Right.
No, people pay the hourly contribution.
Designated
you pay
per person.
correct. So if full disclosure, no one at the health, no one's going to take the health insurance. So it doesn't matter what one you pick. You can pick the cheapest one if you want. You could pick the most expensive. Nobody who works at the town office is going to take the health insurance option. I would say the majority will take either like a vision, life, dental, or put it in a retirement fund. I'm just being honest. There's not a single person up there who's going to take that and have to pay additional amount.
Can I be blunt? I think the retirement plan is very easy to set up under our current funding mechanism of we're gonna give you this much money in retirement contributions per hour worked. I think that's really straightforward. I think we need to take the health insurance, dental and vision back to the drawing board. And recalculate how we fund it because yeah, we're offering health insurance, but if we're only paying 10%, are we really offering health insurance?
The
And I think
goal-
that was the original goal was to offer health insurance to town
it
employees.
was only to offer 50% of the cost for someone who works 40 hours.
Right.
That-
And
that was the-
no one does.
No one worked
So
40 hours, but the goal was to do it based on if we were to hire a town manager at some point. That's just it's opening the door to that down the line. That was
Acceptable.
Possible, but I think at that point, to me, the best option would be to start offering the retirement. If people have the accrued hours, they can take those accrued and put them into retirement. And then through the budget process this year, go back to the drawing board on how we want to do health insurance and budget for it for next year. Right. Well, I mean, I think we're gonna have to do something with part-time. That's gonna be different, but I think for full-time positions, I think it's it's a less of an administrative burden to track hours and just say, if you work full-time over 32 hours a week, we cover insurance at a rate, whether it's 50 or 75, because it would cost us functionally the same because we're gonna be offering less people and net offering less insurance. But it's less complex. It's easy to offer it. And then we go back to the drawing board for our part-time employees. And I think this retirement plan is probably the best bet for a benefit.
it
And then
would
defining
also
what that is.
it would also take dental, vision, and life insurance off the table then. So Jason has a question.
Jason.
When the budget committee was meeting as well, additional advantage to offering a benefit per hour was in lieu of a raise or a more substantial raise. At least that's what Dan would say if he were here, why he voted that way. Because I remember he very specifically, when we were at those meetings, said he would concede on not as high of a raise if, as long as we're offering some sort of a benefit that goes towards their future or health or dental or vision. So
So what does the MMA plan cost us?
well, it only costs whoever opts in. So if people opt in and like I said, no one's gonna take the health insurance, it really won't cost you anything because everybody's going to be working enough hours to cover whatever plan they want. So it won't cost, I mean, it'll cost the
It'll
town
cost
the
us-
voted on $3 per hour
Oh, yeah,
benefit.
That's already being,
Deferred.
Right, that's already budgeted
yeah,
for.
we're already setting that aside.
Correct.
In terms of the cost to the town, though, the only cost I've heard so far is the $25 per person on an annual basis.
Correct. That's only for the retirement account. That's not for the health at
Oh,
all.
but
That's
there-
only for
is-
anything
is
through
there
Mission
any
Square.
Cost for the health plan?
No, because we're already part of MMA.
So why, I mean, I agree that we don't, it's not likely that anybody's going to take advantage of it, but maybe somebody would. If there's no cost to us for doing that, why not offer it?
I don't see anybody taking the health insurance portion,
Right,
but I think it's
right.
plausible that somebody takes a vision, dental, or life insurance through it.
Okay.
I, I
They're all part of a package.
correct. You vote to opt in. It doesn't cost anything if people don't use it. So we're not paying a maintenance fee. We're not.
Yeah, that's my point.
No, we're not paying a maintenance fee. Yeah, I mean, the dental and vision plans are, oh, I can't remember. Yeah, I was gonna say less than $50. I mean, you'd only have to work 10 to 15 hours a month to cover the full cost of that. Which I think pretty much every town employee who submits a time card works at least that per month. So.
I mean, I agree with you, Carl, for this year. I just,
Oh, we we have an allocated budget already. Can't change.
right.
It's not, you're not choosing between covering 50% of dental. You get a set dollar amount per hour
Per
you
hour.
work, and you can put it towards whatever you want. Someone could really easily cover 100% of the dental based on what we've already budgeted. It's not,
Right. I think there's two separate discussions. A, do we want to offer it? And I think the consensus is yes, we do want to offer it. The secondary discussion that we'll need to have during this budget process is changing how we fund it for certain. I think the mechanism we have now is fine for part-time employees where we just give a set per hour contribution to your benefits package. But I think for full-time, we need to look at a different structure. Benefits are provided to be more in line with just where the job market is. Especially if we move the town clerk position from a 32-hour a week to a 40-hour a week position.
I don't know what it's like to change the plans. I can't imagine it's super difficult to opt out if we wanted to move for a different plan down the line from the standpoint of the health trust, because we, as a town, have already done that. We opted in back, I think it was in the 90s, and then we opted out, I think she said 2003. So I can't imagine that it's difficult to change your mind when the new budget cycle and those discussions come up. I didn't ask her how easy it would be to back out, if I'm being honest. That question didn't come up, but I can't imagine that it's incredibly difficult or the harder thing right now is it's January and there's a 60-day period to get signed up. So, we're already gonna be end of March ish, middle of March. By the time this even gets up and running. So,
We're gonna make a decision.
yeah. Right. If you make the decision tonight, it'll still be middle of March. So, I can send out the emails tomorrow and get all the documents fully in and sign, for signature. I think by the end of the week, I don't see why they wouldn't. They all know that it's sort of coming their way.
Okay.
It's $25 a year,
It's
and it's an annual, yeah, it's an annual fee that is the representative that I spoke with, who's our rep now, said pretty much everyone covers that maintenance fee. He said he hasn't seen a town that doesn't cover that fee just because it's so small. But
I guess on the health insurance, I mean, it doesn't cost the same, it's just all for all five. of them. You choose the one you want. And then we can have another discussion on full-time employees.
Yep. So do we need a motion to
yes,
offer these plans?
I move to adopt the main health trust plan presented, offering all five medical plans as well as well as dental, vision, income protection, life, supplemental life, dependent life, and long-term. I also move that the town offer retirement benefits through the 403B plan, and that the town cover the $25 account.
And a vote? 4-0.
just a question for the record. Did Dan give any kind of comment on this?
He was for it.
He
was
was
for
for it. Okay. I know he's not here to officially vote, but it's a fairly big decision and a 4-1 vote would overrule anyway, but I thought that would be important to include his opinion.
Okay, next up is discussion on the revaluation, and I don't know that there's much of a discussion. We're in the process of writing an RFP to do that. Bob, do you have anything more to add on that? Right, parcels.
And when would we have those?
Well, the timeline that I put out, and I think this, what we do need to discuss is.
Oh, this is for the full reval, not that, right?
Right.
Oh, okay.
The, we would have the deadline be March 9th.
Of next year. Oh, for
This year.
submission.
Yeah.
And then we would fund it over.
And that we would do vendor interviews, an award notification on April 6th. As it stands right now, but there's room for,
I don't, can we do the award? The awarding of it until we've had town meeting? Cause we can't really award a contract if we don't have it funded. So that we'd have to do the awarding.
Yeah, we need to have. Need to have figure in order to. Go into the budget.
Right. I'm saying you have. awarding fund.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
has to happen
right,
to approve funding it. And award a contract with no money allocated. Assuming it gets voted down, because then we're gonna have to pay it back.
Right.
Backing out of the contract.
right.
Change. Yeah, all we need is an all we need is the quote for town meeting,
Right.
and then we
Right.
can
Okay,
play with that number from.
good.
Would the
Sorry, Jude.
So
My understanding is everybody would be going through this revaluation. It should be very similar to what you just went through then.
No, it won't be simple.
Well, yeah,
That's tough. Where did we put some?
I think
The,
percent of the tax.
Yes. Yeah. This is the, so we. Based on. Selling prices.
market value.
Market values, yeah. So. They look at each property. As the basic value. Sale records. In those areas.
And then how your house compares to the next one.
That's right. So it's on top of detail than what the has taken.
The valuations would undoubtedly go up, but the taxes should stay the same or be aligned with,
Be sure that it's.
I know,
What's that?
my, when.
Everybody's upset. Well. Two minutes. Everybody's. Fast.
but that,
More.
But because the town has neglected to do a revow for an extended period of time,
right.
it has been a much larger tax increase than what was nominally approved.
Yeah, less.
So the homestead should.
Sure, the factoring should help bring homestead up a little bit. Um,
Which will take place in 2 years. 2 years.
Probably about that.
2 years.
How long will it take?
2 years.
So, one more question. I do the tax records.
Yeah, I understand there is a problem with our tax records not being reflecting what's actually happened. And so we need to get with Trio. Yeah, we need to get with Trio to get that rectified. Sure. Yeah,
they're not showing the September 2025 bills.
Or.
I just learned about this too. Yep,
that's an issue with Harris as well.
it is.
Yeah, not just Trio though.
Well, because
It's the same company.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Trio is part of as a Harris product.
Oh, okay.
So Trio is not tracking.
Trio is tracking.
But
it's just
Harris,
not
but
updated to
the tax
website.
map. This is not being updated so people can see. When you go on the website, property taxes. This. Right here,
Yeah.
this is not updated. It's like 18 months on what it should be. So I think it's just to call the Harris and have them updated.
Well, my understanding was that Heather used to click a button and it would update periodically, but she's said to me that it doesn't work anymore. And they've been made aware of this, but haven't resolved it yet. Yeah. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right.
It is showing the bill, the 2024 full bill and the first round of payments, but it's not the payment for 25. Like if I can. So like if I pull up my parents at 2113 North Road, it only shows the 2024 disbursement and that in the first payment. Because it was, sorry, actually it tells me right here.
It's behind.
Do we have a contact person? Harris? Or is
Yep.
it not?
Yeah, I mean, they just need a call because, yeah.
Okay, anything more on revaluation?
Is the plan to wait till the annual town meeting or to try and host a special town meeting to approve beforehand?
I don't think you need a special town meeting. I mean, personally, I would like to see it just funded out of undesignated funds and like we did with the bridge or the fire truck and.
Yeah.
The only reason I'm asking is because March 9th to a July 1st decision for whoever is 4 month.
So, I mean, we can just push our,
For the vendor?
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
so we could
I'm
say,
speaking from the vendor.
I mean,
Yeah, we'll have to-
we just update it so that way we're putting a request out beginning of April. And say we'll have a decision on contracts July 1st, but we need to know pricing so that we'll.
Yep.
I mean, they obviously, they work with municipalities, so I think they're gonna be costs. Oh, to actually expend the money.
I
Either
just
that
say,
or-
I just said, because I know Bob said it's competitive, so I just didn't know if. Let's say they put out a couple of bids and then they decide to say, no, we took a bid with a different town. Who had the funds already appropriated, so that's all. Mhm.
Okay, anything else on that? I think transfer station hours, Bob, you wanted to pass on that for tonight? Yeah.
We're going to. Right,
Yeah.
okay. There is a, people think that the change has already. I don't know if we want. Sort of discussion. Okay. Okay,
Okay.
we'll do that tonight.
Next up on the agenda is Stephen Lindner and Bob, do you want to describe that? Or do you want me to? or-
No, I just wanted to introduce Steve. If you want to come up. Steve lives, his house is in Bayard. Goes to the transfer station, goes past hours. And goes all the way at the region. Right. Now, the point is located in Vernon. But they have to drive to Bayard and go all the way into Mount Vernon to do their transfer station work. So, must have been a couple of years ago, 3 years ago.
It was 2022.
Yeah, so he looked at, and I did too, we looked at the prices of taxes that people on, the point pay. And we looked at the taxes that, people on, Dollar Woods Road.
Essentially east of Parker Pond, those properties in Fayette. Yeah.
So, the taxes paid by both of those are pretty close.
I think you said at the time it was within $6,000 and it favored, if should a land swap, for lack of a better term, be affected through the state legislature, it would favor Fayette by that 6,000.
So Dollar Woods Road is really, it's surrounded by Mount Vernon. You can't go anywhere unless they go through Mount Vernon. And the point, they can't go anywhere unless they go through Fayette. So I kind of asked Steve if he would talk to the people out on the point and people at Dollar Wood Road, if they got together and they actually agreed upon making a swap, they could talk with the select boards in both Fayette and Mount Vernon. If the select boards in each of those towns were to agree for this, then we could petition the state. This would not be able to go through unless the state approved it. So we're just bringing it up again, or Steve's bringing it up again. And he would like to talk to people out on the phone. The select board.
A preliminary move on my part is when we did, in 2020, my mother-in-law passed away, and consistent with her wishes on her estate, that one of her daughters purchased from the estate the home that she and her husband had built in 1983. My wife and I did that. We sold our property in Vienna and moved into that Shaw residence up there. 2 corners of our property, the 10 acres, are not taxed, but are present in Mount Vernon. So one of the things that I wanted to preliminarily do was get an assessment so we could get up to speed on our 2 corners of that lot. It's probably, half acre between the 2 parcels, but it really doesn't appear on the property rolls in Mount Vernon right now. And I've spoken with the code enforcement officer, who indicated that he would further communicate with the assessor so that we could get that squared away. I did bring the survey so I can show you those 2 little corners of the property. The question about, a land swap between Fayette and Mount Vernon to rationalize really community services as well as participation in community. I mean, I think I speak for some of the folks, I've spoken with a couple of folks over on Dollar Wood Road. We can't leave our homes without driving through Mount Vernon. We can't, when we pay taxes in Fayette, we don't know the people on, I don't know any of the selectmen on in Fayette. I have no idea. When I vote, I feel like I don't really, I feel like if we were voting on issues in Massachusetts,
Steve, can I have you come a little closer to the mic?
beg pardon?
A little closer to the mic.
Yep. So I feel like, my sense of community is here. This is the town, this is the place where we are most proximate. But, if you ask me to vote on an issue in Fayette, I rarely go to Fayette. And I've told the town manager in Fayette that, the 5 buckets of sand that I get from Fayette are the most expensive buckets of sand I'll ever buy. I get a lot of services from Mount Vernon. I mean, y'all do the plowing of the roads that I drive on in most cases, but we're not contributing to that. And so, but what's further is that sense of community. We really, the things that matter to us are decided here. in this town, not in Fayette. And so we vote on issues that don't pertain to us. We have no vote on issues that do pertain to us. And this is all based on a King's Land grant from the Revolutionary War. Seems to me that we can do a better job of managing things than just looking back to 1750, and saying that that's where we're stuck. That may be a reach. I've done some research. About half of the time in my research through the state law library, initiatives to realign boundaries have been successful. About half the time they have failed. So the strategy of the larger issue, which is that, do we want to switch properties rather than just me paying taxes? So I feel like I'm doing something right and we got our property covered. So the strategy of that would be indeed to speak with the people in the respective locations on Point and on Dolph-Wood Road, and find out if they have that similar sense of alienation from community. And then to bring it to the select boards in both locations. And then to address that with a legislative sponsor, that would be most reasonably, earlier I'd spoken with Dan Newman about it, and Dan was interested. Of course, now Sharon Frost is our state representative. Then if the state representative, based on the feedback through the select boards, was interested, then it would be referred to the appropriate committees in the state legislature, and they would work it through. The place where we kind of collapsed the last time was COVID. We had poor communications. We had to do everything by Zoom, and we were not in it. The legislative cycle was out of whack. We were trying to jump on something in the middle of a legislative cycle. So, but that's the summary of this. And so, like, if it's okay, I'd like to proceed to talk to the assessor or have the assessor communicate with me about what I owe for the property that we have in Mount Vernon that's not currently taxed. And then further explore whether or not there's any interest in a larger issue about trying to rationalize community, town boundaries, services, things like that. It's very difficult to get over to Point Drive. I mean, we answer rescue calls at Point Drive, or we answer fire calls at Point Drive, and that's a pretty good hike to get over there. And we have to go through Reedfield to get that. So it's a bit bizarre to see the boundaries set up the way they are. That's my 2 cents worth of that. May I be excused? Yes, ma'am.
So what your is to move the town?
Essentially, yeah.
That's all I need to
Yeah,
know.
yeah, it's a change between Fayette and Mount Vernon.
Thank you.
Certainly.
I mean, I'm fine with it as long as we got Fayette select board on board.
Me as well.
Yep.
Okay, next up is the joint purchasing program. Bob, you wanted to talk about that briefly?
Yeah. Well,
This joint purchasing program is through KV-COG.
Can someone describe what the program is a little bit more? Just
TV con does is they go around, like this is a good little case of paper. All the cattle that go on TV con, they put it there or want the big what they want. Then will go out, give it price for the larger.
So it's like a poll.
Yeah.
So the larger the
sort of,
order,
yes.
smaller the fee.
KV-COG's joint purchasing program covers things like heavy loads, limited signs, bump signs, flake calcium chloride, road salt, plastic culverts, geotextile, copy paper, heating fuel, snowplow cutting edges.
Is our contract up? Yearly? Yeah, why not? Do we have a record of how much we're using?
So that would be beneficial because in a group, we'd be using more, so the price would be even more.
Theoretically.
Yeah.
I mean, it'd be worth just to have a price comparison.
What was the last thing? Sorry?
Heating oil.
Oil?
At least get a bid
Yeah.
or price.
Yeah, yeah. Paper.
I mean,
You don't buy. No, by propane, really
No, propane's not on the list.
but I get a pretty good price. Well. Let me know on copy paper, I'll call them like that.
I mean, I think that gets to a bigger point though on some of those items like power, utilities, all that kind of stuff. We should ask the vendors to go to a single billing and buy all of it in bulk versus having the fire department have a separate line, a separate contract on power. I think we combined propane into one contract now. You do?
Yeah.
But
All the buildings.
making sure we check all of that and then we can have one utility line for the whole town versus having a separate utility line.
Get off. Bye. I understand. Yeah, so, perspective wise, we started all purchase, you're almost better off a broker, that stuff. We do it, the university system, CES, which is, they no longer purchase for the entire meeting system. So. Offsets it.
I believe it's membership.
Yeah.
Right,
we
we're
pay
already-
membership.
I think I was rebuilding the budget doc, so I think my number's accurate. I think our KV cog dues are something like, I think MMA is like 6,000 something and KV cog is like 4,000,
Yeah.
3,000,
I
something
think
like
a
that.
little under 4.
Yeah, yeah.
I think we've gotten a
Don't quote me on
tremendous,
those numbers.
yeah, I think we've gotten a tremendous value from KV cog this year. With our maps and all that. Okay, anything else on the purchasing program? Okay, next up then is the town report, and this is really only to say, Remy, are you on deck to do the town report for us this year?
Yes, the last town report was done in Publisher though. Yeah. So I don't know if there's a specific, do you want me to just try and make it as close as possible to what it was previously?
I think it just needs to look better than it did last
Yeah.
year. So however that is full would be great.
So long as it's not blurry.
Okay,
We need to read.
I mean, I would almost just build it in Word at this point.
that. Yeah, that
Yeah.
was that was like the only other option. I mean, I had to take it out of Publisher and PDF edit it to finish it last year, like. So,
No.
yeah, it was not ideal. But yeah, yes.
Okay.
It'll need to be overhauled to a certain degree though. Just overhauled,
Yeah.
but I
Yeah.
think you guys understand that, so.
Just as long as you're accepting the responsibility for putting it together and having it done in time for the town meeting.
Yeah, which that's June, so. Yeah,
Are we-
I just don't have any content
Are
for
we
it
aiming to
yet.
have it done though from beginning of May? this year,
Yeah.
Not. a
Well,
week
I mean,
before town meeting?
Yeah.
Are we setting up a cutoff? I know you've been,
You know.
Okay.
They're about-
I already, yep.
So is
I
that
have
our
gotten the damn
responsibility?
one 4 times, so please do not send it again.
Is that our responsibility to make sure they're in by the deadline, not Brenda's? Correct?
If,
Yeah.
if they're not in by the 20th, let us know so we can hunt people down. For their reports.
How about if they're not in by the week before the 20th, I'll let you know.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, and for you,
What'll probably end up happening is because everyone's gonna send a different form. I mean, Word would be great, yeah. But since everybody's probably gonna send in whatever format they want to use, I'll likely just format it to however we want it to be formatted. So yeah, I would like Word. But if okay,
said that, I never, and then you heard about her.
yeah. Yeah, I mean it's like the same with the newsletter every month. I mean, people send it in whatever format they want and I format it to fit our newsletter. So, you know. But yeah. Yep. Yep.
Okay, next up is, we've created a list of, topics for the ordinance review committee to review. I've sent that out to each of the select board members. Are there any other items that need to be added to it, or do you agree with the list as it stands? And as it stands, just for everybody's, awareness, we're going to ask them to look at the solar panel ground mount height restrictions. We're going to look at buffers for small lots for solar panels. Limitations on fireworks in the shoreland zone. The fire department and fire company would like the electronic signage limitation to be relaxed so the fire company can advertise their events via the sign. The animal control ordinance was written in 2002. We'd like the ordinance review committee to review this. The timberland ordinance is much more restrictive than the state requirements, and so we'd like them to look at that and whether the town's ordinance should be more aligned with the state timberland ordinance. Docks, the current dock size ordinance does not align well with the dock sizes that are available to purchase. So do we need to update the ordinance to have a better alignment? And then a more generic one is that we'd like the ordinance review committee to consider periodic reviews of the ordinances, say every 5 years.
Revised, or, you know, if there's look at the verbiage, and then we don't like it, let's tighten the verbiage up, let's make it more user friendly. Is. Because that's where most of this come from, is complaints, and then having ordinance review committee look at it from this way here, it's a more proactive look at ordinances versus.
Yeah.
So with, except for the addition of the addressing ordinance, is everybody good with the ordinances since we've just described?
Yep.
I know, it is a lot,
That would be nice.
right? All right,
I mean, it's 8, and then one of them's more of a process suggestion.
So I will forward this to the ordinance review committee then. Do we need a motion to agree to this or we're good?
We're good.
Okay.
Already voted on it back, most of these back in
Yeah, in December.
December.
Okay, next up is a budget committee process discussion and Tyler is going to lead that.
So I circulated a memo last week, kind of outlining some feedback that we had gotten over the last year on the budget. So I'll kind of go through the big structural changes and then we can kind of get into if we like them, don't like them, what we want to do differently. So a little bit of backstory. I was on the budget committee for and then my first year on the budget committee, it was independent from the select board. It met separately, composed a report and gave that report to the select board. In 2022, changed, and it became a joint meeting between the select board and the budget committee. And in my opinion, and the feedback that I've gotten, the budget committee has been largely irrelevant for the last 4 years. In being on the budget committee last year, as many people know, the budget process was completely drawn out. And we didn't have a final voted on budget until Memorial Day weekend. So in kind of looking at how we did budget at RSU 38, and some reforms that we made there, my own research in my master's thesis, and just getting some feedback. I propose a couple of structural changes to kind of make the process more efficient, but the board retains its oversight of strategic direction of the budget. So the first one is the budget committee would meet independently from the select board with a select board member. As we've kind of designated me to kind of be that go-between, as I'll chair the meetings, I'll run it, I'll bring a report back to all of our meetings on where we are with the budget, what's working. If we have questions out of committee on things that we actually need the board to check off, kind of going through there. But that line by line, looking at the budget, kind of keeping that out of our meeting so that we can focus on more strategic and long-term planning and just iron out some of the smaller line by line details with the department heads independently and bring a recommendation to the board. The second change is public comment structure. Because it's committee comment isn't under state law, you don't need to permit public comment during the meetings. So what I propose we do is that we keep the working sessions where you're meeting with department heads. There's no public comment other than the committee members and the department heads. And then a series of 3 public hearings on the budget. One on a weeknight, one on a weekend before. Then a third. Where votes on town meeting. Get people, we'd have a full budget ready for presentation at those public hearings, so we can get feedback on it. But it keeps those meetings with department heads fairly short and efficient. As last year, we weren't meeting with department heads. The meetings dragged on for 3 or 4 hours with very little accomplished. So this is trying to get the nitty-gritty budget analysis done. So that way there we can bring a full picture back to the community and get feedback at that point. We're sitting here discussing, a percentage here, a percentage there. We need to be able to have those discussions and those deliberations, kind of independently, because the budget isn't each individual line item. It's the total encompassing budget of what. And a slight increase here that's offset at the next meeting by a decrease over here. That's not reflected in those meetings. It's reflected at the end when we have a full budget. So that's why I'm proposing that change. And it's similar to how RSU 38 operates. Their budget committee is independent from the full board, meets separately, does not allow public comment, but then at the regular board meetings, and they don't, which is kind of why I want to have them. But at the regular board meetings, you can give your comment on the budget. And that information is brought back to committee for that feedback loop. Moving on, we'd like to make full use of Trio this year. I know, Carl, you had some concerns around who's actually putting the data in. And I think the way that I'm proposing it is the budget committee will operate off a spreadsheet that'll be cross-referenced to the Trio chart of accounts. So that way there, as the budget committee makes changes to the budget, that document is shared with the treasurer and deputy treasurer, and they can update Trio as needed. I've looked into the Trio budgetary module, and there's one part of it where you can send data live, but the rest of the module is designed so that way there you can sit there and say, here's the budget committee recommendation. Okay, now it's been sent to the select board, or the town, it has a town manager, but it would be sent to the select board, sent to town meeting, and then what's approved, and then that's what gets uploaded for the next year. Again, kind of coming back to those public hearings. So the budget commit, the actual committee process, I have starting the first, then meeting every Tuesday thereafter, through April, but the first public hearing would be on March 17th, and that would be after we met. We'd have another budget meeting out. In prep for March 28th. And I'll make sure we get that booked if we approved it. A second, there'd be and then on April 6th, we'd invite the school board in. The school board of reps to come in and just give us an update on their budget jointly. So that way there, we're all kind of on the same page of where the school budget is, where our budget is, and kind of on the 7th, the final recommendation to the select board is produced by the budget committee. And then on April 13th, we'd have a special select board meeting to discuss the budget. And if we're comfortable, vote. If not, vote at our next regular meeting on the 20th. And then May 2nd, public hearing to have on that memo, the fire department's gonna move up.
I,
Fire department and us.
That's a very strict time.
That is a very strict. Yep.
So. The final budget recommendations was the board on the 7th, before the vote on April 13th. And we say, no, you take it back. You're giving yourself 1 week to correct things, or?
The purpose would be is if we bring our recommendation at that point there, after the budget committee gives their recommendation, it's on the select. If we want to make changes after that point and say, okay, the budget committee's recommended this, but for X, Y, and Z reasons, we want to either increase or decrease a line, we can do that. And that's why we have a special meeting on the 13th to have that. We have the full recommendation at this point. What do we want to do with it? Because I mean, at that point there, I don't anticipate us haggling over a lot. It would be like haggling over, the road budget changes, in the fire budget, changes around the town office. If we need to take some more time and haggle some of those out more than the budget committee already has, we have basically all of April to do it. Because the idea is that this budget is done a month before town meeting. I have built in a 2-week buffer. But I'll use the school, for example. The school votes on their budget first week of April, and their budget is 25 million. Ours is, when I looked at it last, like 2.5. So in theory, this should be an okay timeline. Assuming we get requests back by the end of this month. Because once we have those initial requests, then it's more debating increases, decreases, and looking at things structurally, and then everything that's structural, like changes at the town office, use of capital funds, and special projects, we handle all of that anyways, because we'd have to approve structural changes. But like looking at the paper contract, stuff like that, that can be handled in committee, so we're not having board meetings either. So it keeps our meetings more efficient. It off budget work to volunteers, and it gets us a second set of eyes on the budget as well. That's kind of separate from our own biases. And that's how it was done up until the 2022 budget cycle.
Do you know for how long it was done? Prior?
I don't know for how long before, but
I guess, rather than arguing about that, I'd like to just, I don't think I see the rationale for not having the select board be part of the entire budget discussion, because I think it's important for all of us to hear each of the different budget committees and the perspectives they have. I think I'm concerned, I guess, on the one hand, that you're our interface and, for example, you're on the fire department and might have a bias there. I'm not saying you do. I'm also concerned about the road commission and committee and that there's family there. And I'm concerned about that. So I really am not in favor of the independence at this point in time. I've also seen where other communities use this independent committee, and then they have two columns for voting. One is for recommendations. One is this is what the budget committee recommends, and then this is what the select board recommends. We don't have a town manager like many of those other communities around us do. And we don't have a superintendent like the school board does. So I don't see the need to dissociate the select board from the budget process generally. I think the idea of being much more structured in the way we go about doing this is great. And that's, I think, why I was largely in favor of your taking this on. I think, you know, I know you're going to be very adamant about keeping schedules and that sort of thing. I also want to make sure, I know that in terms of public comment, I think that I wonder whether the public hearing is sufficient for public input. When people come to these meetings, which they're all allowed to come to, there should be some opportunity for them to ask questions, whether it's during the meeting, which I think is what everybody will, I think some people want to get away from that. I think there needs to be at the end of that meeting, at least like we do with select board meetings, have an opportunity for anybody to bring up topics and, you know, have them hear them basically and get their input about what you've discussed.
so, and I guess I'm open to that. The big complaint I got, and I was on the receiving end of it when I came and presented the school budget last year, is that I was there to talk to the select board about the school budget. And I had the peanut gallery behind me asking gotcha questions for an hour and a half. And in speaking to people that want to be nominated onto the budget committee, that's not conducive to them doing their work either when they're talking to department heads. So I think you can have public comment period at the beginning or at the end, but beyond that, the meetings don't function if people can just interject in when there's presentations or there's deliberations. And we just need to be forceful that if you're being disruptive and you're interjecting when deliberations, then you're going to be asked to leave the meeting. Right, that's why these would be structured as working sessions.
There's a couple of these, like, you got the clerk, February 10th, that's. You're gonna have to move that one way down, because. You know, Kyle and I are gonna have to go to different towns. And we can't.
Well, I mean, if you look at. I mean, the only one in there that we're gonna have to, that we would have to take out of that is the salary. But in terms of like all the subscriptions and all of the fees and all that, that stuff there largely can be carried and then through the process, if we come back and say, okay, we think KV cog is flat and, oh, no, they're giving us a 5% increase. We can slot that in later, but a lot of it should just be carries in that line. Cause that's what most of it is. Remy has a question.
I just wanted to make a comment that with the trio, we can just print or Excel a chart of accounts and just send it to the budget committee. And so they can make all of their changes in an Excel sheet and then just send it back and then the treasurer can update the
Yeah.
budget entry.
When I tried to do it in Trio, it wasn't giving me the names on the accounts. It was just giving me the skids. So
I think that might be a I think that's a limitation from you guys
Sure.
having like view only
Okay.
access.
So that's why what I was gonna do is,
'Cause-
because I can see it in a different spot, I was gonna go back in and try and cross-reference it myself.
Okay, we have, you just
Yeah.
send a
Once
message.
I have my
to us
spreadsheet
and-
done, I'll send it to you, and if you want to reconcile the two.
Okay. Yeah, we have a full chart. We just pulled it because I was looking at it for something, so.
You can see the chart counts with a view on mode.
Right. It's just when you're
It's just
in
when you're trying to like pull a spreadsheet or something.
Yeah.
Got it. Yeah. So we can get that to you. No
Okay.
problem.
Yeah, that would be.
That was it was just a comment.
Because
That's all.
the spreadsheet, I don't have the spreadsheet from last year, so I'm doing it off a PDF printout, but. Oh, no, I want it. I'm making, that's a little bit.
Gotta give some copies of those. Of the trio. Because I gave Lee a copy of all his articles. What's happening is, figures are going into different accounts, but they're not matching up. So, say road construction. Several, there's about like three different accounts that are going into road construction.
Yeah, you're not wrong, but this is kind of going back to the conversation where we had said from the point where all departments now are going to be planning their budgets, they need the list of trio and they need to plan per thing. And if they don't need an account anymore, strike it and just bundle it all into one. Because what's happening is, we get all of these different buckets from all these different department heads and they don't exactly match the trio one. So we're just kind of selecting. Yeah.
Give me an idea of what, how to straighten it out. What
Yeah.
I wanna do is give that to.
Yeah, we have to give that to you too, Jason.
The. Almost strength repairs into my administrative. Right. Concern for me is that, and currently I'd like to keep it broken up myself. I understand where accounting wise, you want to follow is small.
Not at all, actually. We're totally fine with it being separate. Your category, the way it's set up right now, your categories don't match the categories in trio. And so some of them do. Some of them are exact matches. You can feed them right in. It's great. And some of them aren't. And so we're kind of just like piecing them around a little bit. And it's not your fault. It's no one's fault. We're not blaming anybody.
Like throwing a printer, like building repairs, it's fine, but I need to know where it's at and how much is there allocated for that.
That-
Yeah,
Right. And that's what we're trying to prevent. And yeah, we don't want that to happen anymore. So it would be, you can take the chart of accounts, look at what's there. Just, you can add, you can subtract, you can say, we don't need this to be separate, strike through it, it's gone, but we'd like to add this one as a separate line. And then we'll recategorize everything. And the goal is that we all match. That's it. It doesn't matter if you want 50 lines, I don't recommend it, but if you want 50 lines, you'll get 50 lines. But if you want 10 lines, you'll get 10 lines. Yep.
I mean, I think the other thing is getting department heads the ability to view in Trio. I think it's probably the next step after this too. So that way they're not,
Yeah.
in Jason's case, running a separate spreadsheet and having to reconcile.
You could do that, and if they also, once everything's reconciled in Trio, it's as simple as an email, we pull a report, we send it off. So view only, sure, if they want it. If they'd rather just receive a report from us, that works too.
Biggest thing, particularly that convert to Katie with the all for it, save money. But as long as it's staying either out of my budget in a town budget, pay for like fuel
Yep.
or whatever it may be, but when I don't, what's happened in the past is you folks will receive the bill, not saying you in particular, but I receive the bill, it doesn't trickle back to me. So now I think I have $1,000 more in my account than it. So that's where it's an anomaly that takes place. I don't want overdraft. And that's where it gets complicated.
Right.
There's two hands in the pot. I understand that you won't.
Yeah, and I think the chart of accounts, the way it's set up now, is pretty I don't want to say elaborate, but it's pretty, I mean, there's a fair amount of stuff in there to try and prevent exactly what you just described. So stuff like KV cog fees would only go to the town fee bucket. They do have their own lines. I know what you're saying, and I don't really remember anything, at least since I've been doing been a deputy treasurer for the town. Yeah, correct.
Electric bills, telephone bills, sometimes don't always fall for the right spots. That's a big one, chase down and fight.
Yeah.
Process.
They're all labeled now. All the electric bills and all the telephone bills come in specifically with which building name. So they all get funneled directly to that building name's individual utility department. And utilities are even broken up between electric, fuel / like heating, propane or heating oil, whichever one the building uses, etc.
As we go forward, I don't need it in my budget any longer to take over others.
Right.
So if there's, if it's $2,000 here at electric cost, shouldn't say maintain in my budget, it should be followed. Right.
I think a lot of that, if it's not like direct to fire operation, should be through us.
Kevin?
Mhm.
Questions and a couple of comments. Are you thinking that the department heads would actually meet with physically meet with?
Via Zoom or in person at the, yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I do think it needs to be very structured. And, you know, like we do,
No.
3 minutes.
Yeah. Right.
You know, not just they have.
Right.
Because I think if you don't allow the public to ask questions or to get clarification, that's something that to the public that they're not all. And everyone said.
Mhm.
I just think that's. And I also think it's important for the select. Part of that, not necessarily the select, but I think that the more people that actually hear things firsthand. what's actually going on, it's been transparent. So, you know, and that, it's really laid out.
I said I was gonna bring recommendations and then we could do what we wanted with them. So. I'm open.
Are the working sessions gonna be closed? Well, to the public,
No, no.
so the working sessions.
My thought process was gonna be, I was gonna run wasn't gonna have them here, I was gonna have them up town office. I was gonna drop the owl in the middle of that room and I was gonna record them and drop them on YouTube.
You know, time, don't have. You've gotta be able to work with the.
Right.
And that's. For
Right.
public comment, that you don't have time.
And that's, again, I think. I'm okay with allowing structured public comment at beginning of the end for 10, 15, 20 minutes. It's really gotta be that once that time is up or it hasn't started yet. We need to get through this work. We need to understand what the budget is doing because. I mean, our meetings here are 2-3 hours. And we're gonna be adding for, as I propose it, to get this done in time to have the budget and the town report go out at the same time. We'll be meeting every week
Yep.
for 2 months. So. I mean, I'm okay. I mean, if the select board wants to go to them, I mean, I guess I'm not opposed to it. I just,
Well, it's gonna be in most of them anyway.
so. So,
The big ones are gonna be. Fine.
that and the capital projects. Cause right, but they should be separate from operations and that was
Yeah.
that's why that one's separate.
So,
I think you might have some come out like fire and stuff. And I'd also, the other thing on that is roads. Not just general maintenance, but if we're doing a paving, that is a capital project. That is not an operation project. So those are also separate. Road construction. So that way we are, us and Lee and the public are all in agreement. When we authorize road construction for X amount of dollars, we're doing this and we know before we get to town meeting and after town meeting, we have RFPs that go out that day. But that's not road construction, Bob. That's prevented, that's maintenance.
not last. 2 years before that.
I understand that. What I'm saying is
Flex.
I am being flexible, but what I'm saying is that is an emergency. But I'm saying if we are going to be in the business of maintaining roads, we should know what we're doing before we get to July 1st and we've authorized $400,000 in road work.
I agree, but
That's,
for years.
I don't disagree, but I think that goes back to having a road contingency fund. We look at these projects, what it costs, and we take some undesignated funds and we say, these are designated for if we have a major storm, we're gonna draw from here, not from our regular road budget.
I like that.
But I think that, and again, those discussions are what ideally would happen at the board level is,
Yeah. no,
okay,
I agree.
so. So I guess I would move that we establish a budget committee with the changes to the committee would operate the select board and with defined public comment periods. So what do we want, beginning or end?
And
And at the end of the meetings
Yeah.
for 15,
Makes more sense.
okay,
And.
Yeah.
So you are the chair.
yeah, I'll chair the process.
So- Yes.
All right, nominations. I nominate Kathy Jacobs. I nominate Paul Crockett and I nominate Ona Fast to the Budget Committee. Unfortunately, Daphne Sanders communicated to me today that she could not participate.
So do we need to find an additional budget committee member or two?
I mean, we can find more, yeah. My goal was to have 4 to 5, so we definitely need 1 or 2.
Judy would be very good.
And then I've talked, the other big change, and I didn't go over it, is I'm moving the meetings from Saturday, Tuesday nights, because I'm not giving up my Saturdays for this. I'm not giving up my Saturdays.
Tuesday.
So lucky for that.
Decided that last time.
Ona, Kathy, Paul Crockett.
One way to reach out to somebody like, I don't know, should we? John Parker.
Either that or see if Katie Farron wants to do it again. She used to be the chair for a long time. Katie Farron. She wants to do it again.
I'll get paperwork for those 3.
Okay. Next year. And then the other one is, do we want to authorize those 3 public hearings?
I'm good with that.
Yeah, I am too.
I move to authorize 3 budget public hearings. The first one to be scheduled on March 17th at 6 p.m. at the community center. March 28th at 11 a.m. That'll be a Saturday budget. That'll be a Saturday public hearing at 11 a.m. here, and a third final public hearing on May 2nd at 11 a.m. here. Yep, I'll get those scheduled. And then I'll report back next week if we run into a con. The May 2nd one, the other one's the last Saturday. The last one will be after the community breakfast here. So.
Super.
Need a second
Need
and
a
a
second
vote.
and a vote.
I second it.
And a vote? 4-0.
And then I think the last one was
Budget goals, you want to?
budget goals. What do we want? I mean, I want to budget by April 20th. That's the big goal. Budget.
All right, so talk about what that.
So
to you.
what that means to me is that the select board have voted on our recommendation for town meeting by April 20th.
By when?
April 20th. I have a special meeting put in for the 13th,
I think we should.
but we have a rain date of the 20th. That would be, and that would also put us 2 weeks after the school board votes on theirs. And hopefully,
Because
I haven't factored in Kennebec County, but either way, we gotta pay the bills, so.
So the only other comment I have is when we're going to actually have all of our accounts in order so that we know what is carried over from prior years. And I'm not saying that these dates won't work. I'm just saying that's a consideration we need.
I mean, I looked at how Vienna does it and they just write their carryovers. Cause I think traditionally what we've done is at the end of the
It's
year.
I don't know.
We don't know what those are yet.
Right, but what
That's
I'm saying
the
is
issue.
traditionally at the end of the year, though, we funnel everything into undesignated funds with the exception of a couple of accounts.
Maybe so, but
And I'm not saying that's the way to do it. The
probably close in terms of getting.
right, the other option is if we run into, I'm gonna use Jason, for example. Say Jason's got a line that we get to the end of the year and you haven't expended it. We could go in at town meeting and just say, Jason hasn't expended this line, we're gonna carry it. We move to carry the line. Or we move to, why now? But you can amend down on the floor. Right, and then you just, but here would be the other change. is we write into the warrants that we move to carry the budgets.
Without specifically saying.
Right. Right, if you look at Vienna's warrant, it just says move to carry the remaining. Vienna. Move to carry the budget. Wouldn't be the item, it would be against the total.
We can't get boards. Good enough.
You don't, I mean, you could pull a budget figure on the floor, but basically what it's saying is if we know you're gonna run into a big overage. I don't think I mean.
Save up for project. And when we spend money and then it's up for, I usually request that I budget meeting that I carry. Particular item. So you could already budget thing, say that. So that we will put it to the.
Trying to find, I had it the other day.
Carry. Right.
Right, what I'm saying is that, I gotta find it here.
The carryover.
Well, I mean, my recommendation would be to, instead of rolling to undesignated, they roll to capital. And we can build capital reserves. Or at least help build capital reserves instead of budgeting straight into capital, you take carryover.
Well, hopefully that's that. Maybe, but that's good. What? Me, like when I went to that meeting for emergency repair fire, came out of my cabinet fund. Just went to it, had a photo of it, so for food those. They brought it that.
I had it the other day. I just forget what I had. Here it is. Vienna's warrant from last year. This is for fire department. Conveniently. So Vienna writes there, Article 19, to see what sum the town will raise and appropriate for the fire department's operational expenses, their recommended number, and carry any 2024 balances to the fire department capital improvement reserve account. So
They didn't put big,
they didn't fit a figure. They just said whatever's left
okay,
rolls into capital. And I think,
I get it.
and then I think we do that with everything. And then we, instead of drawing from undesignated funds, you draw from capital. When you have projects like the Blake Hill Bridge or the fire truck, and just say, I mean, technically that doesn't have to go to a special town meeting to do it. So I would recommend a policy on capital expenses over maybe 50,000 that needs to go to town meeting to be authorized to spend. But but I'm saying a normal capital you don't. It has to go through us.
That's how we. Spend that. One thing that I'd say. For me. I have to go over. And not rolling everything, so if I come in and say, I want to go over my fire. Water. The benefit of the town, people, is that I'm not asking again, if I have $2,000 sitting there. I don't go to the town meeting again, just have $2,000. When I can need last $2,000, have something here for something. Yeah. So I don't recommend doing it. Yes, if I had money left over in the utilities account, absolutely. But that specific save, maybe it's the building, so maybe it's, whatever it may be, the line items. I think we can, me personally, it doesn't make sense taxpayer pay gas, $1,000 was already paid, and it's already city.
But I mean, I think the flip side there too, Jason, would be you could write a separate water hole capital account and just have that building.
Well, everyone, so it's like, that, so, I would be asking money in this year's budget before I have to go to the select board. I need to take care of the item. Currently, I just make it repair with money that's in my budget. I don't like the gas, and you don't like the city, you know, 2 or 3 times a month, the special asks for you to say, yeah, it's okay for you to do that part of the. I don't think you want that.
No.
So. But that's what it would require. Well, that's what you have this many articles, even. So that you have to pinpoint everything that you spend. You know, equipment 1, equipment 2, all of the stuff that be like that. You can tell the budget committee what limit in the fund. Part of that was done years ago, so that, if town decided to look at areas where they had to cut money, that was a place where they would say, that basically wasn't buried in the account, but they could see, okay, this year, you know what, time's tough, you're gonna have to, in your general budget, spend $1,000 and, it might commit you to pay to the total spend $1,000 on capital of equipment 1. I agree with what you're saying, so it goes in.
Right, because like,
I agree with that.
Like-
Well, there again, it was, we were forced, time, budget committee and Dave, you, well, not, speak for him, but we were asked to break things out. They didn't want it buried.
so
Now it comes back to break them use. I'm fine with it, but it was a way to be transparent with what we were asking.
So I think there's 2 different things we're talking about. One is the budget and the other is the warrant. The warrant, you should be just voting on the total. And then you have a separate document that here is the budget broken down and you can look at the numbers, but the only thing you're voting on the warrant is the top line figure. Because right now, I mean, town meeting, again, shouldn't be a 5-hour ordeal. It should be, we show up. There'll be a couple of things that we need to debate. Ideally, we've had public hearings so everybody knows what they're on before they get to town meeting. But, and then if we need to debate the total, we have the budget documents here that says, here's what's in the fire budget. The budget committee and the select board have all agreed these are necessary expenses to run the fire department. And here's they are. Here's what it cost, vote on that total cost.
And whole reason why we've been done that for 20 years was because we were told we needed to be more transparent.
And
And I'm okay with that. We just realized that makes it, again, unless if a lot of people aren't gonna come to that public comment.
Mhm.
You come to a budget here and a town meeting, you go, why the hell is the fire department budget so high? And that's, again,
Right.
as long as we can explain it all.
Yeah, I mean, I personally think I could straight face that and say, because last year we did, if you read the article, we only voted on the top line combined fire and transfer station budget. They listed everything on the warrant, but is that total budget?
And again, I'll speak my mind on it. But when I go to town meeting, that shouldn't be where I look at it. What happened?
Right.
I shouldn't give it one item and go, where, if I try and break it out at town meeting, I should have that information going.
Yes.
Yes.
Hence why we are inviting all of the department heads in to say, this is what you have presented. Is this accurate? Okay. In Trio, in our spreadsheet, in your spreadsheet, we all have the same number. That's the number we're going to town meeting with. Yeah.
You can say we're transparent.
Yep.
How much seed by break.
Right.
Because if they don't come to budget,
Mhm.
they're not gonna see the validity to.
Right. And again, I think that is where not, I don't, we can probably include it in the town report, is just have the warrants and then have the proposed budget. And it's 2 documents, you have it printed out and you say, you're voting on the warrant, here's the breakdown of the budget. If you want to go line by line and look line by line, you can. But for convenience sake and to make this process hopefully a little smoother, we're voting on these totals. And that's how the school does it as well. In their meeting, is you vote on the totals.
It hasn't been perfect. We sort of did that prior years with the posting of the budget with line items on the website.
Right.
Whether people look at it, I don't know.
And I think now too, where we are in the process of revamping the website and we have social media, we can blast those out. Notices of. Here's the current draft. And just, it'll be big notes that this section hasn't been filled in yet. So this is not an accurate representation of the total budget.
Plus you can put the details of the town report.
Right.
So.
I mean, it's probably gonna add. I mean, the spreadsheet I'm designing slides, but that's because I have a slide for each department. So it's not all just one big, long line like that for budget doc. But
All right. Have we, is that budget and a discussion of the undesignated funds?
Designated, but I asked, Lucas, give me, thank you.
the reason I put that on there is because I know we've kind of discussed, like, I'll use the sand salt shed. We're gonna have that major project. We know the fire station itself needs, either needs work or,
Need to do build.
well, it needs a new building, but in the meantime, for example, the fire escape is falling off the building. And 52's bay is, the wall's cantilever. So there's some of that, and the back storage room needs work. You know, there's new members in the fire department and they're gonna need, they need extra turnout gear and I think there's air packs we were looking at doing this year too. Air packs are, you know, and those are not things you would budget, you know, operationally, those are capital projects that we could look at. Either do we increase the fire department budget for 1 year through taxes, or do we say we've got this undesignated fund balance, let's knock some of these one-offs out of the way, hope interest rates come down and bond out some other projects, you know, kind of looking at how do we want to approach that.
That Senator Collins represent Thursday at 9:00. Yes, at the fire station.
This Thursday?
Yeah.
I will be working. Let me know how it goes, 'cause I can't take it.
Okay, I think that wraps. up
That
the
wraps up
agenda.
that.
Any other items to go through?
Yes. When looking at the roads accounts, I found, Herman Builders, they fixed the sand shed, because that piece came down, it got put into the road account. That should be.
Where should it go?
Was this the piece that they broke off?
On the building.
When that initially happened, I thought we were told Lee's insurance was covering that.
It,
It was one of the.
so their
Right,
insurance.
but their
is paying for
insurance
it.
should be paying for it. Lee said he knew who did it.
He does.
That's what,
This was, yes. It didn't fall till last year, but this happened like 2 or 3 years ago. They actually did it, and then it was, teetering up there. And then all of a sudden it came down.
So,
I
you know, on the
still-
question
I
of
still-
why it wasn't fixed then,
That's what I.
so how much was it for? $2,500. Rami, how much do we have in contingencies roughly?
I honestly don't know because of the accounts right now.
But we've already drawn on it a couple of times.
Yep.
Yes,
Yes.
because we put we put a wage increase on it, and then there was something else we put on.
Put the Knox boxes on it too.
And the Knox boxes went on.
Yep.
They should be here.
That's where we voted to spend the money out of, so it didn't come out of operational budgets. Right, but Bob,
I don't know
we
how much
gave
of that
an
is left.
employee an increase on contingency funds. And we paid for Knox boxes on contingency funds.
There's something else too. I just don't know. I can't remember off the
That
top.
was like $2,500. Oh, maybe it was 15, but 15, I think it was 500 apiece, so 1,500. Do we have what about road capital?
Building.
It service, I'm saying road capital. We have a roads capital budget that we put $50,000 into.
Doesn't seem like it's a capital item.
It's a bit here.
Do we have a bill, we have a 20, we have a 50, I just looked at this number the other.
The salt and sand shed should theoretically be with the road budget.
It should.
Because its only purpose in existence is to be there for the roads.
So under town admin, we have a town. We have a building capital line that we put 5,500 into. And we have a building maintenance line of 28,000 that we could draw on.
That's what it should be.
It
And it should have been done, that sounds like 2 years ago.
Yeah. but
Okay.
say,
We have a building maintenance line that has like 28,000 in it that I pulled off a carry sheet.
Well, that's what it says,
Well, this is my sheet that I'm just pulling a number that I copied and pasted, so.
but I'm sure. you-
What about the building capital line? That's got 5,500 in it.
So. This one.
No.
So there is 28,000.
There you go.
Interesting.
ACO is gonna be out 6 more weeks.
Okay.
So at the moment, just wondering when I.
November.
So between now and then, I think it's really important. To get that information out there soon and often. Because if we don't, it's not.
Nope.
Yeah. Letting people know why. We think this would be.
I mean,
Is the time too short to do it in June?
no, we're not doing it. No, the reason you do it in November is it's gonna be a written ballot. And
Okay.
we've got two shots at general elections. We can either do it in 28 or 26 with the midterms, or we're waiting till 28 to do it with the presidential year. Yeah. Or you can wait till 2030 and. Or we can wait another 2 years. I
So we
personally, as a selectman, I think we need to have a meeting. I mean, it'd be an open to the meeting, but a meeting amongst us to make sure we're all on the same page of. I mean, I think we all are generally in favor of a town manager. Yes. But I think we need to outline kind of a couple of things.
I don't have an opinion yet until I hear the work that they've done.
Right.
And I haven't had an opportunity
The report's on the website too.
I did.
Yeah. So,
but I'd like to hear.
right,
There's probably specialty items that weren't on
Right.
the website.
right. And like, I mean, if we move to it, it's gonna be there's probably gonna be position consolidation. Which I think would offset some of the cost as well, because you're not paying the position because it's folded into this one, that salary adds up differently. But we've all got to be on the same page of, okay, we're gonna do this and we're gonna eliminate these positions and here's why, because they're getting folded in. Right. Right. So do we want to, I mean, we're gonna be starting budget season, so February is gonna be February and March are gonna be nasty, but it's 12th now. Do we want to just set us? Oh, well, I was thinking having a preliminary meeting on the 26th. Of this month. Cause, I mean, my head's gonna be not thinking about a town manager until April.
Yeah.
Right, cause I mean, we're gonna, yeah,
What happened?
yeah. I mean, we're gonna be meeting, Bob, I mean, the reason, like, once we get into February and March, we're meeting every week for budget stuff. So. I mean, that's gonna be, I'm taking March and February and March, we're getting the budget done. And then once we get the budget done, then we can start working on strategic stuff again, but. I think we have we invite the governance committee on the 26th. We have a preliminary meeting. We're all on the same page as much as we can be. In terms of what this means, what it's gonna look like, what we want to present. Get through budget. And then we start building a presentation probably after budget season.
So January 26th, we'll make it be the number one item on
Yep.
the agenda. In case we get a crowd.
Yep.
And then.
Yep.
And they, if they don't want to stay for the rest of it.
And then we'll get through budget season and probably really hit the ground running in April.
Okay, January 26th. Thank you, Kathy, for bringing that up.
Communicate how much time and effort these jobs take.
Mm-hmm. I mean.
Oh,
Oh, easy.
I won't comment because.
Easy. Because I'm probably almost up there between GA and. So, I mean, it's crazy. Yeah.
I'm about saying, yeah,
Yeah.
10, 20 hours a week.
Okay, then January 26th, we'll bring it up.
No.
Good.
I move.
Executive session.
I moved to enter executive session pursuant to 1 MRSA section 405 subsection 6 subsection A. Need a second and a vote.
Second it.
Damn it, I gotta turn Zoom off. More. I just hit end.